Now, from Adam Copeland, we go to a different Adam. We go to Adam Cole. And this was the low point of the show in that it brought the mood down because it was just a very sad situation. So Adam Cole was scheduled to defend the TNT Championship against Kyle Fletcher. Not a doubt in my mind that title was changing hands. It was time. It was time for Kyle Fletcher to win that title and get a run. And we find out hours before the show yesterday, as Tony Khan has said, when he went to bed on Friday night, Adam Cole was wrestling Kyle Fletcher. And then it was earlier in the day on Saturday that he had a conversation with Cole. And the decision was made that he would not be wrestling. And in fact, he would be vacating the TNT Championship. And the title would be decided in a fatal four-way match. Because Adam Cole was injured. And he didn't shed any light on what the nature of the injury was. He didn't offer any specifics. But he just said that he wants Adam Cole to take time off to get himself healed up. And the first thought that I had was concussion. Because Adam Cole had a very bad concussion, at least one that I know of. He may have had more. But there was that one really bad concussion that he had in, 3 years ago. When he got hurt in that four-way match of Forbidden Door. And they had to go to the very awkward finish, right? It was Okada and Jay White and Adam Cole, and I don't remember who the fourth man was. And he was out for about 9 months. And he has talked about how bad that concussion was. I mean, he couldn't really look at any bright lights. He was having these headaches. He was together with Britt Baker at that time, and she's spoken about, what they went through during that period of time. Bad enough that he thought his career could be over. He wasn't even sure he'd be able to come back from that. But he did. And then he got hurt, arguably even worse, with that ankle injury, which was just gruesome. And he had 2 surgeries on it, and he missed over a year. So it's been one thing after another with this guy. But he wrestled on Collision on Thursday and looked fine. And that was 48 hours before the pay-per-view. So I'm like, if he's injured, and it's not like he just got a phone call that he's got some horrible disease that, he's got to, retire from, what else could it possibly be? Concussion. That was my first thought. And now we find out just a few hours ago, this was posted from Fightful. Fightful and Brian Alvarez, I think, are both saying the same thing. But I saw it first from Fightful, that the injury is, in fact, a concussion. And I know Brian Alvarez said that Cole suffered the injury. It was on a lariat that Kyle Fletcher delivered. Well, the belief is that it happened on a lariat. So I went back, because they have the match up on their YouTube channel. And I found the spot. It's about 6 minutes or so into the video. And Fletcher, he winds up, and he blasts him pretty good with a lariat. Didn't really hit him like across the chest. He kind of got him in the side of the jaw. But, it didn't look any different than any other wicked lariat that somebody would throw in a wrestling match. And Cole did finish the match, which they were near the end anyway, but there was a post-match angle where Fletcher tried to attack him from behind, and Cole, caught him, and like everything looked normal. Evidently, it may have happened on that spot. And it just makes that spot from their last match. They had that match after Double or Nothing on Dynamite, where Fletcher gave him that apron powerbomb on the outside, where he basically clipped the apron, but did so with his head. It was a brutal spot. Like, it made me angry watching that. And it was just so stupid and unnecessary to do with a guy with a history of concussions, and a bad one that he suffered that kept him out of action, right? He was unable to work for 9 months. Why would you even attempt a spot like that, right? And that's on both those guys. So I'm sure they talked that shit over beforehand. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, cool. For all we know, it could have been Cole's idea. Who knows? It was a very stupid thing to do, and there's blame to go around on both sides there. And that's not even where he got hurt. This was on a completely different spot weeks later. But I thought back when I read that, okay, it is a concussion, I just thought back to that match and said, boy, that makes that spot look even dumber than it was. And it was pretty fucking dumb when it happened. But boy, does that look even dumber now. That you would take a guy with that kind of history and even put him in a situation like that. It's just unnecessary. So he comes out to the ring and he's got the TNT championship, and you can tell he's very somber. He's very sad. Of course he is. You could tell he's been crying. He was expecting to come out here and wrestle on the biggest show of the year in front of, over 25,000 people. And by the way, the belief is that there were in excess of 27,000. That's what Mike Johnson said on PW Insider. So they had a good number of people there in that stadium, and instead he's dressed in his street clothes standing in the ring, and he has to forfeit this championship instead of losing it to someone. And he is all but saying, look, I don't know if this is my retirement speech, but if it is, and then he's just thanking the fans and telling the fans he loves them, and this is all he's ever wanted to do. And it was a very emotional thing, and he was getting very emotional. And then Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly appeared in the ring, and they all embraced, and they were clearly crying. So this was a very real, very raw, very unfortunate situation here. And I felt bad for Adam Cole, because Adam Cole is just the nicest guy, right? Not a bad word said about him, and is so well respected by his colleagues and people that have worked with him. I mean, even on social media, I saw there was a post from Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa and multiple other people, coming out of the show, whether they work for AEW or not, talking about Cole, and what he meant to them, what he meant to their career. He has had some incredible matches in his career, and a lot of them, I think back to those days, the NXT Black and Gold, and when he was the champion on that brand, and the battles with people like Johnny Gargano, and Aleister Black and Ricochet, and on and on and on. And that guy's future, man, it looked like he was on a rocket headed for really big things, and it didn't work out for various reasons. In WWE, he never got there. Right, the peak for him was probably that one episode of SmackDown when everybody was still stuck in Saudi Arabia and they had to do an NXT invasion. And in the main event of the show that night on SmackDown, you've got Adam Cole pinning Bryan Danielson. Right, that was probably like in that company, that was the peak for him. And you're like, oh, this is a sign of things to come. And boy, it didn't work out that way, did it? So he ended up in AEW, and he had that what ended up being for a while this great program, this great story partnership with MJF, which was marred by injury. They both got hurt. But that injury that Adam Cole sustained, it really fucked everything up. Not a doubt in my mind that the idea was that Adam Cole would be the one to win the championship, and MJF would have to probably chase after him to try to get it back. But Cole was going to get that title. There's not a doubt in my mind about that. He would have been the AEW World Champion. That was the trajectory that he was on. And the injury just threw a monkey wrench into everything. It has not been the same for him since. I'm glad he was able to come back. What they have had him doing, he's been the Collision Cowboy now for many, many months, pretty much relegated to that show. He's had the TNT title. It has never felt less important than it is right now. Not all his fault, but that's just the way that it is. I'm sorry, but that's the way that it's been now for a while. And to see him out there talking about the possibility that he may never be able to wrestle again was really shitty. I think he will. I personally don't believe for a second that we have seen the last of Adam Cole in the ring. But just the fact that he was talking like that tells you that he thinks it's serious. The fact that he went to Tony Khan on Saturday morning, I assume it was Saturday morning, and told him, look, I'm not feeling well. He could have kept his mouth shut. He didn't have to say anything. There's a lot of wrestlers back in the day, even today, let alone back in the day, that would not have said a fucking word. I got to go to work. Got a big match coming up. I just got to get through it. I'll be okay. I think it's a great thing that he went to Tony Khan and was able to be that open and honest and tell him, yeah, you know what? I'm not feeling too well. And be like, you know what? I don't think I should be wrestling. Because there's a lot of wrestlers that would never think to do that. So I'm glad that he did. But I feel really bad that he's, in this position in the first place. It sucks. It sucks. And I hope that it's not too serious of a concussion. But for him to be that emotional tells me that he is at least contemplating the fact that maybe it wouldn't be in his best interest to continue to be in the ring. I hope he's able to make it back, but whatever decision he makes, you got to look out for your health first, especially when it comes to concussions in the brain. You don't want to be messing around with that. There's a reason why Corey Graves is doing commentary now and not wrestling. He had concussion issues that ended his career prematurely, and he went on to do other things. There's other things that Adam Cole could be doing if he's not in the ring wrestling. I just hope he makes the best decision for his health. So instead, we got Kyle Fletcher, Dustin Rhodes, Sammy Guevara, and Daniel Garcia in a four-way. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara doing in this match? Why not just run back Kyle Fletcher and Daniel Garcia? I know he beat Garcia on TV already. But what the hell do these other two have to do with the TNT title? Plus, they had already wrestled on the pre-show. And then it became very clear when the match was over why they wanted Dustin and Sammy in this match, because they called an audible and they decided plan B is going to be giving people the feel-good moment by having Dustin Rhodes in Texas, in his home state, go over and win his first AEW championship. He is currently, I think he's got 2 titles right now in Ring of Honor. I think he's the 6-man champion, isn't he? And then he's the tag team champion. So now he's about to go on his own Mercedes Moné run here. He's going to keep racking up titles. He is now the TNT champion, and he was very emotional. And the fans pop for the finish, not so much for the match itself. The match itself was very dull, but it was a nice, feel-good surprise moment for him, for the fans. The fans were seemingly very happy for him, and it's fine. The fact that they didn't put the title on Fletcher, who was absolutely going to win that championship last night, he didn't win it. It's fine. He's going to win it soon enough. Dustin Rhodes is not going to be TNT champion for very long, and Kyle Fletcher will be the next TNT champion. They'll just have to wait a little bit longer, people wanting to see it. You may not have to wait that long. It could happen as early as television this week. It would not shock me if they did something on Dynamite. But he will be the TNT champion. This was something that just came out of left field that they didn't plan for. And so Tony Khan is like, well, this was a really shitty kind of Debbie Downer moment with Adam Cole. Let's lift people back up. Instead of just having the heel go over here, let's have Dustin Rhodes get a moment here in Texas. And we respect Dustin, and he does a lot of work behind the scenes for them. He just signed, by the way, a new 6-year deal that will keep him with the company through the year 2030. So Tony Khan knows that he has a lifer in Dustin Rhodes, and this was his way of rewarding him.